The movie starts with a girl named Emma looking out of her room's window, watching a cat drowning in the water. She doesn't show any emotion. She doesn't feel sad or try to save the cat. In the next scene, she is with her father, having breakfast and talking to him. During this time, her aunt arrives at their house and talks about Emma's caretaker. It is revealed that Emma's first caretaker had an accident, and no one knows how it happened. Because of this, her aunt is looking for a new caretaker for her. While they are talking, Emma mentions the dead cat. Later, her father takes the cat's body out of the water, but Emma still doesn't show any sadness. If she had tried to save the cat, it might have survived. In the next scene, her father interviews a new caretaker named Chloe. After observing Chloe's behavior, he decides to hire her. Later, Emma applies for a citizenship award and hopes to win it. She behaves nicely with everyone at school. One day, while playing with some kids, a girl accidentally bumps into Emma. Emma helps the girl up. In the next scene, Emma is seen practicing her smile at home. The next day, which is the day of the award ceremony, her father helps her get ready in a nice dress and takes her to school. Many parents attend the ceremony. The teacher announces that Milo has won the citizenship award. Emma tells her father that Milo doesn't deserve the medal and then insults Milo. However, she later apologizes to her father for her behavior. Afterward, Emma takes Milo to a hill. A little later, Milo says they should return, but Emma moves closer to him. The screen then fades to black. After some time, Milo's parents approach Emma and ask if she has seen Milo. Emma replies that she hasn't seen him for a long time. Suddenly, some girls come running down from the hill, shouting for help. Milo's parents follow them, only to find their son drowned in the water. They try to give him CPR, but he is already dead. The next day, while Emma is having breakfast, her father asks her what she is thinking about her friend's death. But Emma ignores the question, acting as if she didn't hear it. She doesn't feel even a little sad about Milo's death. That same day, Emma's caretaker arrives at their house. Later that night, Emma observes the caretaker looking at her father's medicines. She realizes that the caretaker wants to steal them. Later, Emma watches a movie with the caretaker and suddenly says, "I saw you stealing my father's medicines." She then blackmails the caretaker, saying, "You have to do whatever I tell you, and in return, I won't tell my father about this." The caretaker becomes very angry, but despite her anger, she listens to Emma. The next day is Milo's funeral and everyone is crying. Emma also cries in front of Milo's parents, pretending to be deeply saddened by his death. Meanwhile, when Emma's father talks to Milo's parents, they mention that their son's medal is missing. This worries Emma's father. Later that day, Emma's father goes to her room to collect laundry and finds Milo's medal there. This makes him suspicious. He then looks at pictures from the award event and notices that Emma was staring at Milo the whole time. His doubts about her grow stronger. The next day, Emma's teacher and a police officer visit their house. The teacher tells Emma's father that some kids saw Emma and Milo together on the hill before his death. That night, Emma's father confronts her, asking, "Did you go to the hill with Milo?" She casually replies, "No, I didn't." He then tells her, "Some kids saw you with Milo on the hill." This makes Emma very angry. She responds, "Did Mrs. Ellis tell you this? She doesn't like me." The next day, the caretaker visits Emma's father at his workplace and asks for permission to smoke. He refuses, telling her, "There are a lot of chemical liquids here, so you shouldn't smoke." In the next scene, the caretaker takes Emma outside to play. While outside, they see Mrs. Ellis' car parked nearby. The caretaker then tells Emma, "There is a case against you. Everyone believes you were with Milo when he died." She then takes Emma back inside and tries to scare her, saying, "If you keep lying, they will put you in an electric chair." This terrifies Emma, but she still doesn't confess to what happened to Milo. The next day, the caretaker searches for Emma inside the house. Meanwhile, the camera reveals a honeycomb on the house's roof. In the next scene, Emma's teacher is driving to Emma's house. While she's driving, a wasp disturbs her. In the back seat of her car, there is a honeycomb, which was placed there by Emma. Emma sets up the honeycomb in the teacher's car because she wants her to have an accident and die. In the next scene, Emma's caretaker notices Milo's medal and hangs it on a lamp in Emma's father's room, hoping Emma will get caught. Later, Emma enters her father's room, takes the medal, and hides it behind her back. However, her father notices this. He gently makes her sit next to him and asks, "How did this medal end up with you?" Emma lies and says, Milo gave it to me as a gift. The next day, as Emma's father is driving to work, he calls a therapist because he wants to take Emma to a psychiatrist. On his way, he witnesses an accident. Meanwhile, back at home, Emma aggressively asks her caretaker, "Did you put the metal on the lamp?" Just then, her father arrives and tells Emma, "Let's go out." He also asks her to bring Milo's medal. They go to Milo's house and Emma returns the medal to Milo's mother. She looks confused but takes it. Milo's mother then informs Emma's father that Mrs. Ellis died in a car accident. Upon hearing this, Emma starts crying and says, "She was my favorite teacher." But later, on the way home, she forgets about her teacher's death and casually tells her father, "When we get home, I'll make cookies with the caretaker." Her father is completely shocked and worried by her behavior. The next day, while working, Emma's father realizes that the honeycomb on their roof is missing. This makes him suspect that Emma might be responsible for Mrs. Ellis' death as well. In the next scene, Emma has her first session with a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist tells Emma's father, "Your daughter is just like any other normal child. There is nothing wrong with her." This is because Emma manages to manipulate the psychiatrist with her words. The next day, the caretaker tells Emma, "I might become your stepmother because your father likes me." This infuriates Emma. Later, she goes to her father and says, "The caretaker says she will be my stepmother. Do you like her?" Her father doesn't respond and just walks away. That night, the caretaker is watching TV when she hears strange noises coming from the outhouse. She steps outside to check and sees a shadow moving in the dark. The caretaker, Chloe, immediately enters the outhouse to check the noise. Suddenly, someone locks the door from the outside, trapping her inside. At that moment, the outhouse catches fire. When Chloe looks out the window, she sees Emma standing outside, watching her. Emma started the fire to kill Chloe. Chloe burns to death inside. Emma's father, upon discovering the fire, immediately calls the fire station. Firefighters arrive quickly and extinguish the flames, but by then, Chloe is already dead. That night, Emma's father enters her room and asks, "Did you kill Milo?" He then tells her, "I will do anything to protect you, but you have to tell me the truth." Emma calmly admits, "Yes, I pushed Milo off the cliff." Her father, still in shock, asks about her previous caretaker. Emma replies, "She grabbed my hand angrily, so I pushed her down the stairs." Finally, her father asks about Chloe. Emma suddenly becomes furious and says, "Chloe wanted to be my stepmother. That's why I killed her." At this moment, her father realizes the full extent of Emma's crimes. His own daughter is a murderer. Emma then sweetly promises him, "I will never do anything like this again." But her father is now terrified of her. The next day, Sheriff calls Emma's father and says, "I need to meet Emma." But her father, afraid she will be arrested, lies and says, "Emma has a fever. She can't meet you right now." Terrified that the police will take her away, Emma's father decides to take her far away to a remote lake house. At the lake house, the housekeeper welcomes them. That same day, Sheriff calls Emma's father again, informing him, "The fire in your outhouse didn't start on its own. Someone deliberately set it." In the next scene, Emma's father brings a gun into the house for protection. He plans to use it to end the situation. That night, Emma turns on all the stoves in the kitchen because she wants her father to die. She then locks all the doors from the outside and leaves. Just then, her father wakes up. He smells the gas leak and immediately opens all the windows and doors. When he looks outside, he sees Emma standing there. At that moment, he realizes his daughter just tried to kill him. He rushes to her and asks, "Why are you doing this?" Emma, furious, says, "Even if you die, I'll just live with my aunt. She's so nice." Her father gently brings her back inside. That night, he mixes drugs into Emma's hot chocolate to make her sleep. In the next scene, Emma is seen standing in front of her father, holding his gun. She fires the gun at him, but the bullet hits a pillow instead. Her father wakes up immediately. Shocked, he asks, "How are you still awake?" Emma smirks and says, "You put drugs in my hot chocolate, but I switched my cup with yours." Emma then tries to shoot him again, but her father manages to grab the gun from her. Immediately, Emma calls 911 and hides in the bathroom. On the call, she tells the police, "My father is trying to kill me." Hearing the gunshot earlier, the house guard rushes to the scene. Emma's father finds her in the bathroom and points the gun at her. The guard tries to protect Emma. But instead of shooting her, Emma's father turns the gun on himself and shoots himself. Emma watches as her father kills himself right in front of her. In the final scene, Emma's aunt arrives to take her away. She hugs Emma and says, "Your father was a sick man. He was telling everyone that you killed all those people. But I know you would never do that." This shows that Emma's aunt completely trusts her. With this, the movie ends. Thank you for watching our movie recap. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more great content. Your support means a lot to us. Have a wonderful day.